my whole channel is about weird stuff, right? Paranormal, horror, aliens, you name it, right? I cover it. And I was on TikTok last night, and I've heard, this is the first time I've heard about it. This is the scariest thing. When I started listening to these videos, you know when you get, I call it chicken, right? Chicken skin or goose pimples all over your body. I got that. I got a wave of like anxiety and fear. And then I started urging because I just could picture what these people were talking about, okay? And they're on about lucid dreams. Now, I know a lot of people have lucid dreams. I've had it occasionally. I think everybody has it, right? It's basically when you're asleep and dreaming, but you all of a sudden you become aware that you are dreaming, okay? And you just sort of like almost a co-pilot, just watching and observing and just going, I know I'm asleep right now, and this is a cool dream, or usually cool. But apparently there's a rule that what you shouldn't do in a lucid dream. Mate, even talking about it makes me feel a little bit paranoid. I'm going to show you some videos, but basically there's this thing going around. I think apparently it's been going on for quite some time. So apparently you shouldn't ask a character in the dream. So if you meet somebody in a dream, you shouldn't ask them what the date and time is. Mate, I'm freaking out now just talking about it, right? You shouldn't ask them the date and time. And I remember, I think the worst feeling that I've ever had, and I've mentioned it before on my channel, when I had a flu, right? And I was probably about maybe, I think I was about 15. I had a flu. I was really ill. I was super hot. And I was in bed, and I had this reoccurring dream, right? That I was walking along a pavement, and it seemed like a pavement in somewhere quite, it was like maybe California or so, I don't know, just it seemed quite a nice environment, sort of along the beach side or something like that. I remember looking down, and there was like huge slabs, right? Huge slabs. And I remember when I was walking along, if I stepped on a crack, a huge missile would come towards Earth and blow it up, and blow Earth up, right? And I remember waking up and being genuinely in fear because I've blown up the world. Clearly I wasn't thinking straight, right? And not only that, I would go back to sleep and I would still have that thing going over and over, the same dream going over and over. But the weirdest part was when I was walking, occasionally what would happen, I would have this image of a face, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try using AI to create some sort of image for you of what I sort of saw. It was a face, a female face with no complexion, no freckles, no wrinkles. It was just totally smooth. And then it would switch to like a really wrinkly hag type looking face. It freaked me out, man, so much. So anyway, it just, when I heard these lucid dreams and what these people were going through, it just made me think of that nightmare that I had when I was a kid. So anyway, listen to this, and the reason why you should never ask a character in your lucid dreams what the date and time is. This is, like, I'm telling you, mate, be warned. Be warned. Because if you suffer, or I say suffer, or if you have lucid dreams, a lot of these cases, they think about the videos on TikTok that they've seen, and whilst lucid dreaming, they go, oh, I remember that TikTok, I'm going to ask the date and time. Don't do it. Listen to this.
Have you seen the TikTok about dreaming, where you're supposed to ask someone the time or date in your dreams? Well, I did it last night, and it was terrifying. I literally wrote notes all about it. I need to share it with you, so you don't make the same mistake I did. I was having like a really good dream. It was peaceful, it was fine. I was hanging out with this girl, I have no idea who she was, and I just remembered in my head that TikTok. I said, "Do you know the date and time?" Her whole mood completely changed. Her eyes got big and her smile dropped. She didn't say anything. She was completely silent, so I asked her again. She said, "You're not allowed to ask that." Next thing I knew, she was pushing me backwards, and then I felt someone grab me from behind. I felt so scared. I was very aware what was going on. Next thing I knew, I was in this empty room sitting on the floor with the lady who grabbed me from behind. So I asked her the question, "Do you happen to know the date and time?" She said, "You can't ask that here." Next thing I knew, I was in sleep paralysis.
Oh my god, mate, I've had sleep paralysis. It is fucking horrible. It's petrifying. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. I didn't see anything, mate.
And I was terrified. Sleep paralysis is a very scary thing. I deal with that in lucid dreaming often, and it's not fun. I will never ask that question again. I have stories from other people who have asked that question, and what happens to them is very terrifying. If you want story times of what they seen and went through when they asked that, just let me know. And please, be careful if you do this.
Like, you might think, because obviously she's quite charismatic and quite sort of animated, right, with her eyes, lovely, beautiful eyes. Right, she's got a channel called Miss Haley Michelle on TikTok, so go and check out her out. All right. So that, mate, that just freaked me out. And then I was like, is this real? So I started looking into more TikToks. Okay, and don't worry, mate, I've saved them for you. Okay. Listen to some of these stories, man. Freaky deaky. Right. She has stitched this, okay? But then she goes on to say her story. Right? Listen to this.
I just wanted to respond and also post my story because yesterday clip of the duet with...
Hang on. She goes on a little bit, so I'm going to fast forward it to where she starts talking about her lucid dreams.
That particular dream was about me entering a new building as a new resident. So an apartment building somewhere, I don't know, high, like maybe the 7th story or 5th, I don't remember that. But it was a nice apartment and it was a new building and, you know, people were just friendly and the dream kind of went fast, you know, there's nothing really major special or something. And I remember that I needed to go down because I needed to get the key or spare key, something with a key. And I used the elevator, so there was like a main lobby and an elevator in the middle. And then there was like a desk on the right side with the building manager. And that's when things got interesting. Because I was just talking to the two ladies, there were two ladies there. And one was helping me. And the other one was just sometimes laughing to me and, you know, also being friendly.
Two little old ladies, lovely little old ladies.
And at that time, I was just having a small conversation about, you know, she was welcoming me in the new building and explaining some things. And then she got to the point when she turned around and the key, like, you know what you see in movies when the hotels have all those keys hanging on the wall. So that was like on the side of her desk. The same thing. So she turned around, and at the moment that she turned around, I gained consciousness in the dream. I was, you know, awake. I was like, oh wow, this is it. I'm doing it. I can ask. And so I said, I forgot to ask the time. I said to her, hey, I'm not dreaming. I am awake right now. I'm aware that I'm not dreaming. I'm conscious. So. And trust me, this lady and the other one, they were extremely friendly to me. They were smiling and laughing and bubbly and whatever, you know. So her smile, when she turned back to me because I said those things, that was gone. Like there was full 100% anger on her face, like this. Like, I don't know, I can even do it. Like, no, that's annoyed. I'm sorry. I mean, but if you think of a person that looks to you like, what the fuck did you just say to me? but with the anger, like the mouth and the tension in the jaws, I try to do it for you, but it's not working. I'm sorry. But it was so scary because it was like 180 degrees mood change, like, or 360 degrees mood change.
180.
You just have to fill that in. But it was from bubbly and happy to I'm gonna kill you because you just asked the wrong thing. And
fucking hell, mate. What? Like, some people are talking about it begs the question when you're lucid dreaming, because a lot of people think that when you dream, you literally go into a different like plane or a different state of consciousness. So some people are saying that the characters have a conscious themselves, right? And the argument is also, is it because like she also saw a TikTok about this? Don't ask the question. So is it because you're almost manifesting something bad happening because you've seen the TikToks saying about something bad is going to happen if you ask the date and time? She's sort of like that's pretty much hers. But there's some other freaky ones, man. But they're all sort of saying the same sort of thing. Listen to this one.
Okay, so I saw a couple of videos recently where they were talking about trying to figure out the time in your dream. Like, ask
See, she's seen it as well.
Someone in your dream what the date and the time is or whatever. And I lucid dream pretty much anytime I dream. So I was like, oh, next time I do that, I'm gonna do that. I saw this video yesterday, and it reminded me because I'm super ADHD, and I was like, oh yeah, when I go to bed, I'm gonna do that. So it happened last night, and it was really freaking creepy. For context, I lucid dream almost all the time, and a lot of times, like, I'll explore, or it'll be some sort of like a dream that at the end of the dream I realize I'm dreaming. I can go back to the beginning and then like relive the dream, almost like it's a video or a movie or something. I don't even know how to explain this other than a lot of times it's like a one-on-one situation. Like, I might be like talking to my best friend or my dog's sick, and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, this isn't real. That's not how that person acts, or something's off, right? Anyways, so I was going through some pretty normal dreams last night. Like, my dog was sick and I was trying to take care of it, and like I reconnected with a friend that I don't talk to anymore, and I was like, we still have beef. I don't know, just like different normal things that I feel like I would dream about that were not like red flags. And then I ended up with this group of people. They were all like strangers. I didn't recognize any of them, and they weren't meant to be anyone that I knew, but we were sitting at a table and we were talking about whatever had been happening in the dreams that night. And I looked out towards the water. We were sitting by the water, and the waves like didn't move right. And I was like, that's not how water works. And then I went, oh, right, because I'm in the dream world. I'm in dream. And I was like, oh my God. So I turned really quickly to my right, and I asked the girl, there was a girl and two guys. And I asked the girl, I said, what's the date and the time? And she said, she just like looked at me and she went, it's 10:10 at 2:13 p.m. sharp. And I was like, right. What? And she goes, 10:10, 2:13 p.m. sharp. See,
the thing is, it doesn't sound scary when but you got to put yourself in that situation, okay? You're on the beach, you're chilling out, you're looking at the waves, and everything's all hunky-dory, and all you're around is friends, and then the sudden shift of, you shouldn't ask that question. Holy shit! You shouldn't ask that question.
And it's like it was the 8th yesterday, so I was like, that's so weird. But then I was like, oh, weird. Well, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go explore. But then this guy, one of the guys at the table, like grabbed me by the arm and he's like, it's time for you to go now. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're going to have to wake up now. And I was like, no, like, it's all good. I'm dreaming. This is my dream. Let me go. Like, I'm just going to go explore and see what's around. And he was just like, no, it's time for you to wake up. And he took my head and he like shoved it into the water. And usually I can breathe underwater. Like, I'm lucid dreaming. I wasn't scared. I was like, I can literally dream underwater. But instead it felt like all these like bubbles were filling my head. And then I was just like forced awake. I just woke up and I was like,
a lot of people are connecting these dreams with sleep paralysis, okay? And if you've not had sleep paralysis, mate, I don't wish it on anybody, okay? Because it's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And like I say, thank the Lord I didn't actually see or witness anything, but a lot of people do, which is so strange. And seeing the same people, like these shadow people, which again can be connected with aliens. A lot of people say that if you have sleep paralysis and you wake up and you see a shadow person, that is actually an alien, mate. Freaky. Listen to this. This is creepy.
If you're ever in a dream, don't ask any dream characters the date and time. I learned this the hard way during one of my many lucid dreams, when my curiosity got the better of me. While wandering through a beautiful forest, I stumbled upon an old, abandoned house, and inside, I met a family that seemed perfectly friendly at first. We began chatting, and they even invited me to sit down and join them for dinner. But I kept feeling that something was off, something sinister. In a lighthearted attempt to test the nature of my dream, I asked the father of the family what the date and time was, and the room immediately went silent.
Oh.
Each member of the family slowly turned to look at me, their expressions shifting from
Slowly turned. Oh, God, mate.
welcoming to menacing, their eyes turning an unnaturally cold hue. Suddenly, the once wholesome scene twisted into a horrifying nightmare, with the family members revealing their true forms, grotesque, monstrous creatures that seemed intent on keeping me in the nightmare forever. Every time I find myself in a dream, I'm haunted by the memory of that family, making sure never to ask about the date or time again. If you're ever
what the hell is this all about, man? Is this real? I'm not. The problem is, and this is why I said be careful, mate. Okay, because in reality, you know not to ask that now. Okay, but when you're dreaming, you have this sort of sense of I'm okay, especially when you're lucid dreaming, because you're like, oh, I know, I'm just in bed, this is just a dream, it's okay, I can ask and do anything I want, right? If I want to fly, yeah, I can fly, yeah. So you don't have any sort of understanding of danger, okay? So this is why people ask in the dream. And it's funny enough, somebody actually says this in a minute. This is why you ask in a dream, because you don't feel any consequences are going to happen. Listen to this one.
Okay, I'm going to dive right in. If you have been seeing TikToks about people talking about their dreams and asking the date and time, this is what happened to me when I asked that question. I am a lucid dreamer, have been forever. I have certain scenarios, places that I repeatedly visit. Just always been aware I can control what happens in my dream and that I'm in dream mode. This also includes night terrors and sleep paralysis, which is a very interesting story. I might do that one if anybody is interested to hear it. But this is what happened when I asked the date and time in my dream. Now, my dream was pretty boring in a sense that I was just moving into a new university room with my best friend in real life, and it looked like her, exactly the same as her. It wasn't her, image of her, it was her. So we're going up and down this car park, I dream about car parks a lot, to put the boxes into our new living space. And then at one point I sort of realised, oh, I'm dreaming. I can see a clock on the wall, but it has no numbers on it and I can't quite make out what the hands say. I'll just ask my friend Beth. Beth, what time and date is it today? Do you know? And Beth stops what she's doing as she has her back to me in my dream. Stands upright and turns her head with a deer in a headlight sort of look.
Oh, fucking hell. I could just imagine her eyes were wide open, like, what have you fucking done?
I have a sense of pure dread. You know, like when you feel like
that pure dread, mate. I'm got the chicken all over me. That dread is what you feel when you have sleep paralysis, okay? Just like horror. The horror.
Might be something in the house and you're alone. That like wash of terror kind of feeling. So she didn't say anything, and I had a bright white light flashed in my eyes from nowhere. And the only way I can describe it is if somebody takes a picture with the flash on really strong, right in your eye, or someone holds a torch in your eye. And I was kicked out of my dream back into reality.
This one's horrible, man. This one is horrible.
Do you guys remember the TikToks that were going around about the lucid dreaming and don't ask what the date and time is?
I do now.
I've seen those. I've even talked to people about them, and I really didn't think much of it. I consider myself a skeptical believer in a lot of things that are like weird and paranormal and things like that. So, again, pretty skeptical about a lot of things. Well, apparently those TikToks or those thoughts penetrated my brain enough that last night in my dream, when I realized I was dreaming, I decided to ask that question.
Yeah. Bad
and
idea.
It did not go well.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and follow along, and here's my weird story time. So I occasionally lucid dream. That is when you realize that you're dreaming and you can kind of have control over what's going on. Most of the time when I realize I'm lucid dreaming, it's because I'm having a bad dream and I want to wake myself up. So I just do this technique in my dream where I literally go, wake up, wake up, wake up, and I force myself awake. Well, last night, I realized I was dreaming, but it wasn't due to anything like scary that was going on. I was actually in this really cool place, and I was with somebody. I don't know who that person was. I've never met them in life, but I was standing next to this person, and I was looking down at this table that had a row of lights. It had a couple rows of lights, actually. They look like those lights that you hang outside on your patio that are sometimes solar powered. Anyway, I was looking down at these lights, and I realized at that moment that I was dreaming. And I thought about it for a minute and thought, I'm going to ask that question. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Awake me would probably not ask that question, but...
This is what I'm saying. You wouldn't ask that question if you're awake, but when you're dreaming, there's like no consequences.
Dream me was like, we're going to do this. But I was aware of what I was doing. So I looked over at that person and I was like, I even said, I'm dreaming. And I looked at them and I said, what day is it and what time is it? That person who was standing there for a moment ago, smiling at me, just went completely dead in the face and stared me dead in the eye. And I looked down at the table that had all the lights on it, and every single light went out at the same time.
Oh, mate.
And at that moment, all the happy feelings, I guess is the best way to describe it, felt like it was literally sucked out of my body. And I was just filled with this fear and kind of dread feeling. Not only did I say to myself, I have to wake up, I have to get out of here, but the person that was standing there with that dead look on their face said, you have to go.
Oh, fucking hell. That's the one that I almost threw up when I listened to. You have to go now. Oh, God, no. What the hell is going on in people's dreams?
I believe I remember like running out of there, feeling like I was in danger. And that's all I remember.
Oh. Hang on, I've got to go toilet. I was just thinking, but this would be horrible. Just imagine knowing that you got a mate or something, or a relative that has lucid dreams. Like, share this video to them. But no, because that would plant the seed. Oh my God. That is horrible, man. What's this one? I can't remember. I saved it.
I asked the date and time in my dream, and what happened was really, really creepy. So I've seen those TikToks of people asking the date and time in their dreams and how it was really creepy and things got weird when they did. Just to be clear, you need to be lucid dreaming in order to do this. So lucid dreaming is being in a dream and knowing that you're dreaming. When I was younger, I used to lucid dream a lot, but I stopped because I would wake up with really bad headaches when I did. But I thought I would give this a try and see what happened. So my first dream, I was in my apartment and it was pitch black. Everything was dark, but I knew I was in my apartment and I was alone. And I knew I was in a dream at this time. So I'm standing there and I'm like, oh God, I gotta ask like what time it is. I didn't ask the date. I asked what time it was. And when I did, this mass, like this giant black mass, came out from the corner of my room, grabbed me by the legs, and dragged me out of my apartment, kicking and screaming. And while I'm screaming, I'm asking, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Boom.
Would you do that? This one makes me think a little bit like, I don't know, mate. I might call bullshit. Because if you asked the time and some black mass came from a bloody wall and started dragging you out, we'd be like, hey, what's the time? Are you sure? What's the time? Honestly, I need to be somewhere. Like, no, I don't think so. Would you? Well, she did. But then again, no consequences in dreams, right?
Boom, I wake up. So my second dream, I was in my bed and I was in my childhood home, and my mom and my aunt were in the other room, and they were talking, but I could hear them murmuring. I couldn't hear.
Oh, yes, yeah. I remember what she says here. This is interesting, actually.
Like words. And in my head, I was like, oh, it's Christmas morning. Like, gotta get up. Maybe I'm gonna go downstairs and say hi to them and talk to them. And then I could hear the murmuring so clearly. Like, it was, I couldn't put together words, but I could hear them. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, why is this murmuring so loud? Why can I hear them? This is just a dream. Like, I'm not supposed to be hearing anything. And then I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. I got asked the time. So I did. And
Again, after you've had that experience?
I was like, what time is it? What I can explain demon thing comes out of nowhere, sits on my chest, and starts choking me out. And while I'm getting choked out, I'm asking, what time is it? What time is it? Boom, I wake up. So here are my thoughts on what happened. People are saying that you, when you're dreaming, you enter into like a new dimension, a new world, the dream world. And I don't really believe in that. What I think happened was that was just part of my subconscious. I was watching TikToks about how like you shouldn't ask the question. Yeah. And
this is what I'm saying.
Is bad and like creepy things happen. So I think in my dream I knew it was bad. I knew bad things were gonna happen. So that's what happened in my dream.
So there you go, mate. Be careful when you sleep tonight, all right? Oh, goodness gracious me. So if you like what you saw there, mate, please subscribe because I've got some weird stuff coming your way, all right? I've got aliens, UFOs, weird stuff happening in the sky about planets. It's going to go crazy, all right? So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.